in listen-only mode.
Welcome to Coleman Report Live. Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Delaney, it's you and I today. Your dad is gone, our guest is gone, but we have a lot of information, so let's get right to it. Number one, Fraud Friday. What are our fraudsters up to today?
Well, we wrote about Kishore, and he was a software development and IT services business owner. He was the CEO there, and he received a 2-year sentence after pleading guilty to a count of conspiracy to commit bank fraud and 1 count of failure to pay over employment taxes. So he was taking advantage of the PPP program along with his 2 brothers, actually. They got $3.1 million in loans after applying for 12 different PPP loans. And they stated that some of those applications were almost identical to one another, 9 of which were approved. But he was also in trouble because over the span of 5 years, he was not paying his tax obligations on his employees.
Even though he got all this money? Jeez, go ahead.
Even though, he actually used a payroll service company. So all the forms, all the information was prepared for him. He just never bothered to file it or pay it. Sadly, as a result, his employees ended up getting subjected to audits and inspections from the IRS since he didn't do anything.
So they nailed him for restitution, and we followed Lisa Delaney, and $3 million. She only got 2 years. That's sort of on the light side from what we've seen in the past.
It certainly depends. I've been trying to figure out some of the rhyme and reason to these sentences, but I think if they nail him with some higher restitution and forfeitures, it tends to be a lighter sentence.
Yeah, it looks like he maybe bought his way out of jail. Said he forfeited $3.2 million. He was ordered to pay $3.3. So it sounds like he was able to make himself pretty much whole, which does help in reduction of sentences. Hey, Delaney, I know next week correct me because I don't have it here. So correct me. I believe it's the House has a hearing on PPP fraud and hiring or partnering with private collection agencies to go after those smaller amount loans. That's all I know. That's all that's up on the website. I know you're going to follow it. Any other additional information that you've picked up, or is that where we are today with it? Yeah, you don't have
all
anything
there
else
is a title to the hearing and then a time. So we'll see. I believe next Wednesday.
Well, I think that's interesting. That's showing that Congress is not buying into SBA's statement. Well, they're not buying into a lot of SBA statements. They're not buying into the statement that says, hey, we're going to ignore these smaller loans. And Congress says, no, $100,000, as one congressman said, back in my district, $100,000 is a lot of money. So we'll, sort of a teaser for next week. I know you'll follow that, and we'll talk about that next Friday. We'll see what's happening on that. Who's your next fraudster?
Well, this is kind of building off a story I've talked about previously. There was a scheme with 2 individuals, Edward Whitaker and Shunda Coleman. They were running a fraud scheme out of their home in Texas. They were helping people apply for PPP loans and preparing the fraudulent, tax documents, other supporting documents. And for every PPP loan they helped with, they expected a 25% return or kickback. By the way, I didn't start off with this. This is all alleged. We don't actually know that for sure.
Well, wait a minute. But the title says he was sentenced.
This is one of the people who...
one of them. The others are still alleged. Okay.
Yes, I believe they're still alleged.
That makes my E&O insurance carrier people very happy when you say that. Go ahead.
So another thing is they actually found text messages to these individuals telling them how to make it appear like the PPP loans were used to pay out their employees, when in reality they were making small transfers back to the defendants. So going back to this individual, Isaac Dawson was sentenced to 3 years for obtaining a PPP loan. He is the 7th person or business owner to be sentenced so far, and there are actually, I believe, 9 more waiting. 9 more who have pled guilty. So we'll have to see how those sentences go.
We need to do a story on follow up on what the IRS is doing. I know the IRS has suspended the I don't even know the acronym, but the additional funding for small businesses regarding payroll. They've suspended that. My concern about that has always been there's been all these intermediaries that are saying, hey, we will get money for you for a fee, but the small business owner doesn't necessarily understand what they're signing, and that could be opening up another can of worms. So I'm glad the IRS has suspended it pending clarification. I believe it's ERS. I'm guessing. I apologize. There's smarter people out there than me on that. But we'll follow up on that. But this is similar to that. By the way, Shunda is not related to us, but I do like the name. Shunda.
It is an interesting name. I've never seen it before.
I like that. I like it. Okay, next one. Go ahead. Slovakia. We're international reporting today, Delaney.
Yes, he was actually in Slovakia since 2019, so it's alleged that he was there whenever he committed these crimes.
He was in Slovakia.
He was. I'm not 100% sure how it all worked out. There wasn't, a significant amount of information about what address he used and things like that. But he tried to obtain $730,000 in pandemic loans using or inflating monthly payroll for his company, submitting falsified documents, including credit card statements to support the loan. And they're saying that he transferred the money to a bank account in Slovakia and spent the money for personal expenses. I don't have information on any cars or things of that nature. And luckily, for our government, for the Justice Department, they got him just in time. He was actually going to fly to Poland, and they got him the day before, and he will be stuck in jail until trial.
Well, he obviously didn't do his homework. EU has very good extradition relationships with the United States, except Montenegro. We've talked about that. South America, our friend Nick Patel tried to go down to, I believe it was Ecuador, and start his new life down there. But he was picked up right before he was boarding his private jet with his family. So similar type of story. Well, very good. Hey, I want to talk about, this just in, we are going to be in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, December 7th. We've confirmed the date. It's going to be at the law offices of Blank Room. They have a nice facility there. We haven't done this. We didn't do it in 2020. We did it in 2019. We did it. And obviously, we haven't done it in the last 3 years. So this will be the first time we'll be able to get together. We will get information out there. It's a great event where we combine the 3 legs of the stool. We get SBA's involvement, which is very nice. We get the banks who want to know more about the secondary market, and we get the secondary market participants. So it is the only event of its kind. It's a one-day event. We will be getting information on that. We were going to be doing a flash sale next week on early bird registration, so look for that. We will get all that information out next week. Right, Michael? You're on that, right?
Absolutely.
There you go. That's what I love to hear. Love to hear the yes, sir. Delaney, you're on. This is your new project. You're doing very well on it. You're working with the executive editor of the publication, which is a gentleman by the name of Lance Sexton. And give us a glimpse for next week. I just read it. I signed off on it. Fascinating stuff. Where we are on criminal clearance, and I didn't really understand all this, but today, without any technical corrections or whatever, there's how many times is this process mentioned in the SOP on what lenders have to do?
Only once. It's on page 19, essentially saying that those who are incarcerated on probation, on parole, or under indictment for a felony or any crime involving or relating to financial misconduct or a false statement. But I mean, I believe the SOP is hundreds of pages long, and that's the only information.
And that's it. Now, we've talked about the new proposal, which is in the Federal Register, which I find interesting. They'll get rid of the parole and indictment. Basically, they're going to say if you're in jail, you're ineligible. But they did give us one little teaser, which isn't in any of the stuff. I know Lance loves to read, and I'm sort of in his camp as well. I like to read this stuff. And Delaney, I don't know if she loves it, but she's certainly doing it. But they say, hey, if we're not going to let someone open up a child care center if they have crimes against children in their past, but that's all they really say. And when you have that situation, that's really left up to the lender. So we no longer have, Form 912 that we've had in the past. How is the lender to know how they have to address this criminal past history, Delaney?
If they do have a criminal history on the Form 1919 and 1244, there are questions about it. Whether they've been convicted, pleaded guilty, etc. And if they have, the lender has to provide dates, locations, fines, sentences, information like that to ocacd@sba.gov.
They'll write that down. It's in a report. It's also in the one paragraph in that. Anyway, good stuff that you and your dad did on that. Hey, sign up for that. We offer an unlimited license. The price is $9.97, but you get to send it out to anybody that has that email domain with your institution. That's how we do that. And unfortunately, we are. Go ahead, Delaney. I cut you off. Oh, I didn't cut you off.
Oh no, I think we're all clear.
I thought I heard. Well, very good. Unfortunately, we have our guest that we had a last minute crisis that they had to solve. Be sure and take a look at Lance's webinar in a week and a half. The new SOP he goes through in terms of there's stuff in there that you need to know, and that's what we're focusing on. You need to know stuff that you need to know. Anyway, Delaney, thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it. I'm on the road. We'll see you Monday. Thank you very much.
Everybody have a great weekend.